Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Matt Conrad.
And I'm Lena Metlege Diab.
Lena Metlege Diab. Nice to meet you.
The honorable.
Very much.
First time for me.
Thank you very
I think
much.
you two are somewhat acquainted. But
Yes.
first, who is Lena Metlege Diab?
Yeah.
Well, I was born in Halifax, raised a little bit in Lebanon in a very small little village, a town little girl, and traveled back to Halifax with my family to grade 6, believe it or not. And at that time, I didn't speak a word of English. I spoke French, and I spoke my native language, Lebanese, but I had to learn English from scratch, and ever since I've been here. So St. Agnes, St. Pat's, St. Mary's. I say to everybody, the saints follow me wherever I go. And then, of course, Dalhousie after that for graduate school. And then I did law school as well.
Cool.
And I've been here since.
That's awesome.
And I think there's a connection here. How do you two know each other, Matt?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I met Lena when you ran for office and you were in office and everything. And we met at a couple different events, and you met my wife. And you just happened to find out that my wife was going through university and that she was a teacher and learning to become a teacher. But she, at the time, was teaching or learning to tutor people, government workers and stuff like that. And you just asked, hey, would she tutor me? Kind of like, I don't get opportunities to speak a lot of French because you were in provincial government at that time. And so, yeah, you hired her to come every Monday. And Aunt Sophie sat with her for, I don't know, it was like a year, every Monday, and just talked, just in French.
I remember that was over a decade ago, because I was first elected in 2013 and then became a cabinet minister. And so that was over a decade ago. And you two are not married.
We weren't married,
then,
no.
Because,
she had really recently
She
joined
was
Halifax.
very recent.
Yeah, exactly. And you were very kind to her when she went. Basically, you sent her congratulations when she graduated, became a teacher. You recently sent something else to her. I can't even remember, but you've been very kind and really kind of staying in touch and stuff. So I've known Lena now for over 10 years. My wife has been here for 12 years, and so
I think, Lawrence, I think I also know you because I believe I know your parents.
Well, my mother.
Your mother worked
Kathy,
in a law firm.
That's right.
And of course, I am a lawyer by profession, and I practiced law for 22 years.
I read your Wikipedia today.
Before, I don't know what the Wikipedia says, 22 years before I was elected.
Cool.
But I knew his mom because on the other side of the telephone.
Yes.
Us lawyers talk a lot on the phone, especially back then, right? Not so much computers, and it's hard to see people a lot face to face.
Amazing. And you've gotten us to a new location. We're unlocking a new location for the Afternoon Pint Day thanks to you.
Oh, that's fabulous. I
First
love
time.
that.
I got to say, this location has one of Matt and I's favorite IPAs.
It is one of my favorite beers to drink in the whole province.
Yeah, so you picked out a great spot. Where are we?
We are at the North Brewing, which is in Timberley, actually.
Yes.
Nice,
And
yeah.
I'll tell you why I picked it. So I don't frequent a lot, particularly beer, but I love the independent, small beer brewing industry that's happening here, as well as the wine and all of the local industries that are happening. But in particular with this one, in 2023, the trails here beside us, BLT trails, had floods and flooding. We had we had flooding.
That's from that massive rainstorm that happened, right?
Yeah, and it flooded and it had to be closed. And at the time, they're a volunteer association. They needed to fundraise quite a bit of money in order to do some repairs and so on, plus other things. And I recall coming to this specific location, meeting them, but also because this particular company, a group here, they were helping in the fundraising effort by, I think, donating $5 or something like that to the sales and stuff. And I remember buying quite a bit at the time as well. So it was great.
North Brewing is a really great industry. They're leading in the quality of the beer they make. So thank you to them for hosting us. And Malternate Reality is the IPA, if we want to say it by name. Great name, great can, great tasting beer.
Malternate Reality IPA. And what are we drinking today, Matt? We have a different one.
Yeah, so we have a couple different things here. So, Lena, you're drinking the Lawrencetown.
That's it. I'm drinking the Lawrencetown.
Okay.
I said I want something a little bit light and
nice
on a bit of on the fruity side.
No, that's a nice beer. I like that one too.
We're not in Dartmouth, but this is the Dartmouth Dark. So this is a coffee infused dark lager.
This reminds me a little bit of our lager that we made last year, dude.
Yeah, it's just a little bit less coffee.
Yeah. It's good.
Ours tasted a lot like coffee.
Ours tasted more like coffee and less like...
People were, no joke, putting ice in the beer that we made last year.
Oh, wow.
They were putting ice in it because they said it tasted like an iced coffee. So
that sounds nice.
It was actually really good.
Very
nice. They sold it pretty quickly. It was sold out in 2 weeks. So yeah, it went pretty well.
That was fun.
So back to you. Like you talked about how you were actually technically born here, but went back home from your parents' home.
Yeah. Why did you go back at like 2? Yeah. You were like 2 years old or something. What happened there?
I had my grandparents here as well, and my grandfather got ill and wanted to go back home. So my grandparents left, but my dad and all his siblings were here. And so they were by themselves there. So my dad and his brother, the 2 older ones here at the time, said, we will take turns. Each one of us will go and live there for a certain period of time because our business was here. Actually, Hollis Street. They had a bar. They had a restaurant. It was called Steve's Lunch.
Okay.
Among many other things. I'm talking to you a long time ago here. And so they took, the idea was they would take turns. And of course, so my father was the first one that went. So he took his wife. And at the time, 3 little kids. One that's a few months old and one that was a year, and myself. So we were all 3 under 3, basically. And so that was the trade-off. But then my parents would come back here, and my uncle would go there. But they said, you stay there with your grandparents. And at that time, my grandfather had passed away, so it was only my grandmother left. And so I stayed there for, close to 8 years.
Right.
And went to school there.
And then, unfortunately, war broke out, a civil war at the time.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And so my father said, that's it. It's time everybody comes back. And he carried his mother in his arms. She was a small woman. She didn't want to leave because that was her home. That's her town. She didn't. And he said to her, Mom, I promise once the war's over, we'll bring you back.
There's seems to be ongoing wars that are happening in Lebanon through the Middle East and everything, but from some of the people that I speak to is oftentimes in the villages and stuff, people have no idea it's really going on. Was that really the case for you?
Well, they know what's going on because...
Yeah, they're not ignorant. Sorry, I should rephrase that.
No. Yeah, so the I guess what I would say is you're not faced day to day or with the bullets and with the weapons and with the military. What you are faced with, though, is the notion of there's not going to be any food, no medication. So people get worried. Shortage of food, shortage of medication, shortage of everything else. And in the villages, there's no heating systems in a lot of the places. And so when it gets cold, if you're still there, depending on where you are, where we were. So I wouldn't wish that on people here. But I'll tell you, the good news in Lebanon right now is for the first time, or not first time, but now we have a new president, new prime minister, and there's really a lot of hope.
This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitrealty.ca. at exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
So is Lebanon peaceful right now in a sense?
It's peaceful.
Yeah.
There's no conflict, going on, but
currently. That's
economically things are bad. Financially, they're bad. The banking system had collapsed. So all kinds of issues after the Beirut explosion. As you know, that was worse than the Halifax explosion. And we talk about that because the Halifax explosion here in 1918 historically was one of the first but also worst.
Wow. What year was the Beirut explosion?
It was 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh. And how many fatalities?
There were fatalities. I don't remember the numbers now.
I know.
But,
Sorry. Yeah, that's a tough question to answer off the spot. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, no, it was a
massive explosion.
It was massive, yeah.
I remember it.
But I mean, so it's good to hear that things are kind of on the up and up. And I mean, it's not due. It's just kind of circumstance because the Lebanese people here in Halifax, like Halifax stands on the shoulders on the Lebanese community like heavily, right? They've been a huge asset to Halifax.
Well, it works both ways.
Yeah.
The Lebanese people started to come here 140 years ago. Most people don't realize
It's not
that,
a new
but there's
thing, yeah.
actually a statue at the waterfront
There is,
that has the year on it. A lot of them that came actually stayed, whereas other immigrants and so on, they've come through and kept on going to other parts of the country. But it works both ways. The Lebanese have contributed greatly and really have enriched the province, just like, they like to give back to the community.
Yeah. I can tell you an event that I've been going to the last few years that I actually look forward to every year is the Cedar Maple Gala. What a great event, right?
Yeah.
What a great event. I mean, Norm does a great job kind of putting that on and just the highlight of everything. And I just love that they blend that like Canadian Lebanese kind of togetherness.
Showcases the business part of the community, but also with the culture, with the food, with the entertainment. And as you can see, the majority that attend, if I could say, are non-Lebanese background. So that's a good thing.
No,
that's good
that's a positive thing.
because you get to see, something different. So it's great.
I think it's important to kind of highlight all the great things that the community has done for our city. Going back to you specifically, I know you kind of said you started off as a lawyer, but you did start off kind of in politics, though. Because if I remember, you actually, it wasn't your first degree or something like that in poli-science?
Oh dear, it was economics actually, but it was economics, but I minored in political science.
Yeah.
Good job, and I also minored in French.
But you worked at the legislature, like you worked at the ledge, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I tried at that time when I was a student, I think 2-3 times, and I finally got hired as a student, 1985-86.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not long ago, and John Buchanan, that's how I remember John Buchanan,
Yeah.
even though my dad and whatever, they knew him as well.
Yeah.
They all knew each other back then quite well, but that's where, so 85-86,
Amazing.
I was a page at the legislature, and I recall years later saving a newspaper clipping where I'm on the cover, and it says housing shortage. Back in 1986,
Some things never
the
change.
Nova Scotia government, they're going back to the legislature, and there's a page with my name, Lena Metlege at the time, putting the papers on the and it was housing. I gave that newspaper clipping actually to the legislature for them to keep it in their records. Yeah.
So you were back there with John. If you said your dad knew John?
Of course, yeah. Well, he was a lawyer too, eh?
No, I knew John
You
was.
knew
John, no, John was a close friend.
From before. So
Yeah.
back in the 70s, 80s, to be honest, like I'm sure your parents tell you weren't born, but there weren't that many people in Halifax, really, quite frankly, right?
No,
and
that's
so
true.
they all knew each other. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's the law office. Like John practiced in Mom's, like the office that Mom works at, up until his death, kind of thing. So yeah. But so knowing John and kind of getting that early stage in, what made you go liberal as opposed to a PC?
Oh dear. it's funny. After that, I think I started in university. I would say I also did model parliament as well. It was the political ideals that I believe exemplified me best, in the sense of what I believed were equality of opportunity. Not to say others don't have them, but that was the one that I believed. And again, I didn't have any role models, if I could say. Like, none of my families was political, or is even now political, or is even considering being political. So let's just
really?
put that
Okay.
out there, right? So this was So
You're all on your own.
I'm on my own,
Figure that
and
out.
even back then, I'd go to events, and I would be on my own, right? For decades, I would be on my own,
What
but it's
was
just
it like
something I love to do.
Getting into politics yourself, how did that feel?
So I volunteered
beginning
for many
days?
years first, and I was a part of a riding association and so on. So I knew what it was from the inside. Finally, when I, in 2013, it was actually the month of February, like right now, I said I was practicing. I was in my office. And I didn't like certain things. That's not, sometimes when you go into politics, you're going in because you think you want to see something different, or you want to drive
Seems
change.
the origin story of most politicians.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the time, my children were getting older.
Mm-hmm.
Some had started to be in university. But I saw a lot of young people after high school leaving Nova Scotia. I mean, we were being emptied out from young people, and from people, they were either going to schooling somewhere else or going to schooling here and leaving. Mm-hmm. It was just, for me, it was a shocker. So
that was your incentive?
That was my incentive.
Wow,
I
okay.
said, I don't want that to happen to my children.
And that's so. I guess you've been a minister of many things, but one of the last thing, I guess, because I didn't really kind of put that connection together. But one of the last things that you were actually given, one of the last files you were given, was population growth.
That's right.
So was that a part of that kind of
That's right.
desire?
It's well, when we went in 2013, so we would have gone in and we formed a government, because we took from I think it was the NDP.
NDP, yep.
That was one of the. There were many priorities. This was one of them that I was given alongside other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I would tell you, most people the first couple of years thought, it wasn't going to happen. There was a lot of work that had to be done to get us to the point where we were finally on an upward.
Right, because we were
upward, but
losing.
we
This
were
country or the
losing.
province was losing.
We
every
would
year.
get,
Yeah.
we would get stats of the number of births
Yep.
versus the deaths. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, the deaths always outweighed the word, but also that people of leaving as well,
Yep.
and the aging population.
Right.
It was really scary. In some parts of the province, hospitals were closing, schools were closing.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the population.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, you kind of really, because it's twofold. Because I mean, she was minister of population growth, but also minister of immigration.
Right.
So heavily kind of fell on your shoulders to
It did.
to grow
It did.
to grow the province.
And I know you had Stephen McNeil before on a podcast,
We
and I'll
did,
say
just-
to you,
Yep.
he was a fabulous person to work with.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much, and I can say that now. This is public, and I have no problem in saying it because I've said it one-on-one to so many people. Pretty much gave me a carte blanche as a minister
Oh, good.
to do what I felt
trusted you, yeah.
was necessary to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And he
yeah.
he appointed Lena as the first attorney general,
Female attorney general.
in Nova Scotia history.
Yeah.
Cool.
Since 1750, I believe, was the first one.
There was one in 1750, then they
No,
waited.
no, there
never one.
wasn't any.
Since
So
the
we
start-
started.
Since the start, there
Our-
definitely wasn't one in 17 anything.
I know. I just
So
thought
the
that
first
was-
time
that
I
seems
went in,
really weird.
the first time I went into the office as a justice in public, it was Justice Public Safety called together, but
Yeah.
Attorney General, really.
Right.
So the Attorney General would all be wearing. So as a lawyer, when we go to court, you know how we dress in robes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Anyway. The first time I went into the office, and that's where your wife actually used to meet me.
Yeah.
We used to be on Terminal Road.
Okay.
All the photos, they had the photos from the beginning of all the men, and in the early years, for like a long time, they would all be robed.
Yes.
We called them robed, and had their their white sashes, because that's what we wore when we go to court, right? It hit you, like it really hits you. It really smacks you if you have time to think, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The portfolio and things were so busy that you rarely had time to think about anything but work. But it really does hit you in terms of how you've come. Like it's.
Well, cheers to you for that.
Cheers,
That's,
yes,
there you
cheers.
go. That's
You
worthy of a
guys are
cheers.
drinking a lot more than me.
That's okay.
Yeah, we will have problems. So.
But I will say though, when I was talking with Lena before, she's like, oh, I don't want to, she doesn't want to brag too much, but so I'll have to do a little bit of bragging for
Help her out.
Yeah. Women in politics is tough. It's very tough. And
Right.
one of the things that she used to come and tell me about is that she used to really like about Lena is they always had really good discussions about women leadership, kind of breaking that glass ceiling and stuff like that.
Okay.
And you've done a lot of that, like in Nova Scotia, obviously being the first of a few things, but a minister of many things. Now going from, and we can talk about that, going from provincial to federal politics and all that stuff, but you've led the way in a lot of ways. I also heard that, you leaving the provincial Liberals kind of put them in a huge disadvantage, because I hear that you are like a fundraising queen.
Oh, dear
Oh
God.
yeah, you're good at raising money.
Listen, when I made the decision to leave provincial to federal, the Liberal Party was doing quite well in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I left thinking.
You were leaving them in good hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, quite frankly,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. But as
So you're the reason they lost there?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. But I guess what I would say is you never know in politics.
Yeah,
Right?
Right.
And things change. I think there's an English saying, you tell me, things change on a dime. It's not something I say, but I've heard that before, particularly in politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much. People have short memories, whether that's a good or a bad thing.
Exactly.
Right? Like, something bad could happen, and a year later, doesn't matter. People forget about it, and they still vote the person in. Or something good happens, and a year later, they don't care what you did for them. It's what did you do for me lately?
Agreed.
Right.
That's sales. That's every job.
It's a lot of things.
Actually, you're in the same
same
job.
deal,
I bet
same
you
deal.
you'd probably give a really good quote to
What you do this
a
month?
client one
Sure.
year, and then the next year,
Yeah.
oh my God, things have gone up, and you're
100%.
now.
Yeah, well, at least there's one thing that the three of us around this table can understand is, what profession do people hate the most? Insurance, lawyers, or politicians? I don't know.
Oh my God! And I've got 2 out of the 3. That's not good. That's not true. Lawyers are there to actually serve and help people.
I think everyone is, though.
I certainly did that. Yes, I agree with you.
Politicians are there.
And-
they're
and
civil servants,
politician-
right?
exactly.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Despite popular belief, insurance people are there to help at your worst time.
Okay,
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. Violins away.
Whatever.
No, but you don't need these people if you're doing well.
Right.
Honestly, now
that's true.
lawyers you might. If
Yeah,
you
lawyers
win
you
the
might,
million, you're gonna probably need a lawyer to drop a few things. But
right.
but certainly, if you're doing well,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you leave all of this. But that's when you need
So
somebody.
why the jump from provincial to federal? I
That's
wanted to really
that is a
understand
great
what
question.
made that change happen.
Yeah. Well, okay. There was more than one, but generally speaking, you've hit it. I was a minister of a number of portfolios.
Right.
Some of which touched topics that are more national and international.
Right.
Okay, immigration, francophonie, as an example, and I was doing a lot of that in my last couple of
And you
years.
were limited on a provincial level. And
We
you
were
wanted to do
limited
more.
on a provincial level,
Right.
and I had exactly.
Cool.
So that was one of the reasons. Another reason is, and politics. It's all about timing. They say.
Yep.
The opportunity came where my predecessor decided to retire.
Yeah, long serving too.
So
Jeff
long-serving predecessor, after 20 plus years, decided to retire, and this is the area where I live, and where I've given a lot to, and so on, and so it just made sense. And either way, it appeared that we were going to be heading into an election. So I wasn't leaving my provincial colleagues. We were going to be heading into an election anyway.
Right.
Because I'm somebody that really cares. If you work with me, I don't want to let you down. I'm very I value relationships, regardless of who they are or what it's for or whether organization. And so, it just made a lot of sense for me at the time. And it still does. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, no, that makes it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think some people think that that's a kind of a natural progression, but not always. There's a certain calling that it takes to become in federal politics. It's not easy. You're gone a lot, right?
You're gone a lot. That's the hardest part of being federal. It's the fact that you have to actually get on an airplane to go to the House of Commons in Ottawa.
Yep.
And it happens a lot more than you think.
Oh,
and it's the time factor. The time factor.
Something was it 65% of the time you're away? Is that what it is?
It feels like that.
Okay.
But it's half the weeks of the year.
Half the weeks. Okay, so 50% of the time.
Monday to Friday, and they sit Monday to Friday,
yes,
right? So with weeks,
Yeah. Not right now though, because you're not sitting.
No, but we don't sit every single week anyway.
No, exactly.
We don't sit every week. But as you know, there is the session is prorogued, and many people say, "Oh, but people are not working." Whatever. Rest assured, we members of Parliament are working hard, but so is the government and the ministers and the Prime Minister. I mean, they're working nonstop, and I would say to you,
to people that don't understand, why did they shut down? I think people don't understand that. I've seen comments on a weekly basis of people not understanding why that happened.
I have too. I see that too, and I say to myself, I wish I could do a political science class.
Sure. No. Here we go. Let's go.
Oh, well,
here we go. Here's your political Professor Lena Diab.
Well, first of all, it's not unprecedented. It has happened before.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Second of all, there needs to be a reason for it. In this particular case, instead of us going back last week, we will go back March 24th. And as I said to you, we don't sit every week anyway.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It just means the parliamentary part of this job does not get done, meaning what we do when we go to Ottawa, the committees we sit on. But the rest of the stuff, the constituency and everything that we do keeps going on. The ministers, the ministries, they're nonstop. It has absolutely no effect on any of that.
Right.
Of course, we have a leadership. We, meaning the Liberal Party. The Prime Minister has said he's stepping down.
Yep.
And therefore, a new leader needs to be elected for the political party. It doesn't matter what the party is, but that's what it is. The Prime Minister stepping down.
Yep.
There needs to be a new leader.
Yep.
In this case, they said you got to elect one. So that takes a bit of time. In fact, the time they've given is pretty short for a leadership.
So when the House shuts down, and again, I'm asking for the folks that aren't into politics here, because I'm more on that side of the fence. I'm learning a lot of this for the first time. So in these instances, when the House shuts down, do certain things not get done?
So what does not get done is the fact that you're going and sitting in the House of Commons and debating publicly, legislation. Everything else is still continuing.
Right.
Meaning the Prime Minister is doing his job.
But you can't pass legislation.
No, that's
laws
correct.
Can't get passed.
That's correct.
You can't pass new laws.
Now, if there's some that are passed, then and the public servants is working on regulations, and so that continues. That's no problem.
Okay.
The implementation continues.
So if something was
things
approved
continue.
and it's in the offices of whomever, that's still getting worked on.
Exactly.
But if it's something that was held up or
Exactly.
still being debated on, that's a hard pause. It's not, nothing's getting done with it.
That's correct.
And I think a lot of people, like Lena mentioned, I think a lot of people forget or don't even realize it, honestly, about 20% of the work. Honestly, of what's being done, what you see on camera and what you see in the legislature or the House or anything, that's 20%.
It's an important part.
It's an important part of it, but it's
not
small.
It's not the totality of the work.
Sure,
Is what I'm saying.
yeah.
When people
Most of the
say
work's being done
you're
in the
not,
constituency.
nothing's being done.
It's
That's
times
not
late
true.
as an observer again that doesn't really understand how it all works. I see a lot of almost like theatrics, a lot of arguing back and forth, and a lot of almost foolishness.
There's a lot of that.
I agree with
within
you.
the last year or so, almost to a whole new perplexing level.
Yeah. So as a mom and now as a grandma, to be honest, I find it sometimes embarrassing. If I want my kids are bigger, they get it. But if you bring a school age class And depending on the timing they actually go in and watch, I find it embarrassing.
And that's the thing. I watch it, and I find it embarrassing sometimes too. When I watch about the bickering back and forth and stuff, and I'm like, these are grown adults that we've elected, that we pay good money to go up there and represent us, and then the bickering and the insults and all that stuff. And back to that, it's hard on women in politics. It can be hard in that room as a woman in politics. I'm sure you would know better, far better than I, right?
Well, I mean, you're not supposed to get personal, but
Right.
we all know that there's people that just
People cross that line.
cross that line.
Yeah.
Government is there to govern.
Right.
Government is there to make priorities because it has no choice.
It should be the house of intellectual debate.
When you make priorities, there's going to
the
be
house of
people
pain.
that are not happy, and then because you're making priorities and you're trying to make decisions for the collective good of people.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
The opposition is there to oppose,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah,
It's parliamentary process.
And
It's
that's
perfect,
fine,
yes.
but it's when they get to the
I've
theatrics and
It's been a roast battle for the last
talking
year
about
from
anything
what I
but
can
the
see.
the kitchen sink and everything else. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It does get a little foolish, but you know what? I get it a little bit in terms of they try to get each other's skin, they try to get them riled up or whatever. But it is what it is. But I mean, your former colleague Brendan McGuire, he was on the show, but he was formerly Liberal, now PC. But I can tell you one thing: when people don't realize. So Brendan is someone who is a good friend of mine, and we talk often. But I can tell you, if you ever want to see or feel what it's like to know that if he's in the legislature, I can actually, if the ledge is in, I can actually get a hold of him no problem. When he's not, he's actually harder to get a hold of. Now, especially because he has the education file and he's the House leader. Dude's busy. I hear from him at 11 o'clock at night, and bedtime used to be 10 o'clock for him before. Kind of thing, right?
I mean, sometimes we're working around the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, I try and sleep by midnight.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not exhausting? You don't get tired of that?
You do, but
Yeah.
again, I'm lucky. My kids are older. I have I have adult children. But that's not. It's not an easy life, particularly for somebody who. And I have a very large family, so I try and do, my Christmas and my Easter and my. Yeah, but is that enough? I guess each to his own. We all make decisions. I very much I very much enjoy serving people. I get a real sense. I'm just so happy when I can help people and help somebody fix something, provide them with support, give them advice, do what. And we do a lot of that. There's a lot that goes on.
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
Yeah, honestly, yes. Again, going back to the non-parliamentary process stuff, is I reached out to you a couple of years ago with for a buddy of mine who was getting sent back home, and in the end, he still had to get sent back home. But you guys were pretty good to respond back, and you've helped me connect it with some things. There was actually somebody else who I originally tried to reach out to who wasn't as responsive. So, I mean, at least it was an answer. You connected me with some people and you helped. And there was a little bit of glimmer of hope, I think, at one point. So, but that's
There's
the work.
a lot we can do, but
Yeah.
we also have constraints.
Of course.
And there's a number of things we can't do. And I guess what I would say to you is because of my legal background
Yes.
and my experience, both provincial, I know very well, and my educational experience, but also my personal, there's a lot I can identify with people, but I also know realistically, what you can do, what you can't do, and how you can do it fast or not. So it just depends, and I give that lessons to my staff because they're not always, So it's a learning curve for many people.
I mean, I personally, am in your riding now because there's been some
That's
alignments
right.
and stuff like that.
Next to general election, the riding will be distributed, and I will have all of the Peggy's Cove Loop.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I will actually go back to represent quite a bit of an area where I represented as a provincial
Yes, that's right.
member
Yeah, that's right,
in the Armdale area,
Yeah.
which would cover all of the Joe Howe and the Fairmount and the Bayers Road. And
So
yeah.
how would things change if, the Liberal Party right now? I mean, we
there's a lot of changes coming.
we know that the Conservative Party is doing much better than they ever have in a long time in this. I mean, federally, right?
Polls say that, sure.
Polls say that. It seems to do that. And I'm not speaking personal politics here or anything. I'm just asking, what do you feel like the future of the Liberal Party is? Do you think there's going to be a major resurgence here now? I mean, Trudeau would really drag down the polls. I mean, I know that's not.
Listen, I know you may not
have
like
to say it, right?
Listen, this is what
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Listen, the party was not doing well.
Right.
The Prime Minister did his best. He has served people for over a decade. And you started this conversation with, I don't know if it was on the air or not, I think it was, with saying, when you do good and you help people, people have short memories.
Yes. Is this fair? Yeah,
That's fair.
I can tell you when I went to the doors in 2021 as a first-time federal member knocking on doors, or federal candidate, knocking on the doors, I had people come to me and say, when you go back and you see Trudeau, tell him thank you.
Yeah.
It was because of him we've survived, either because our businesses didn't close or our health, we didn't die. So people do
and
have
I still
short
say
memories.
still about Trudeau. I mean, today is February 4th. We recorded February 2nd. I was there Saturday night with my partner watching Trudeau speak. Excellent job.
Oh, what a great job.
Excellent job.
It
Right?
was an excellent
That
job. But,
was,
the decision's made.
Yep.
I'm not somebody that says, oh, what if. You got to move with today forward, right?
Yep.
This is the kind of person I am.
Right.
We do have a leadership, and I hear on the streets, because I am here in Halifax now more than anywhere else. I go around and talk to people that I don't know. Sometimes it's better for me to talk to people I don't know, because I love that more. And there seems to be a bit more of a, people are excited.
I think
people
yeah,
are,
I think- You know what?
You can thank Trump for that. I mean, I really do think, because what happened here over the last week or so is we've seen Trump largely United Nation again.
Seriously.
Because
And I brought with me our Canada flag.
I saw those there.
Did you
yeah.
see that? I
They're
give
beautiful.
that to everywhere.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
bring whatever, because you're right.
Right.
I say to you, be careful who you change is not necessarily better, and be careful.
I'm someone who I don't hide anything. I'm fairly nonpartisan. That being said, I'm a big Chrétien guy. I think
yeah.
he's the GOAT, right?
Turned 91.
He did. He did, yeah.
you see what he put out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
we
yeah.
shared
In
it on our
both
page.
We shared it on our
Yes.
social
Oh,
medias.
I love
all
it.
of
No.
us. Yeah.
He's the GOAT. So that being said, I'm not just all over liberal and everything like that kind of thing. But I will say that I like Trudeau's decision, and I'll tell you why I like Trudeau's decision for more of a political kind of analysis type of thing, not necessarily a personal one. Because there's things that I like. There's things that I like that he did very well, and he's represented Canada positively internationally. And there's some things that I didn't like that he did and everything. Like, there's scandals and things like that.
Well, nobody's going to like everything about anybody.
100%.
That's reality.
But you know what he did that, as much as Trump has united us, what Trudeau did that I really admired is he gave Canadians a choice. Polls were low for him. He was trending low. he clearly realized, hey, I'm not the guy that they want right now. So he had to step aside, put that aside, his ego aside and all that stuff, and say, I need to give Canadians a choice. And the Liberal Party wasn't a choice, clearly, for a lot of people. And now we're seeing the polls really starting to spike back up.
Not to be a
What do you
slight bit
have to
negative.
say? I know, I'm looking
I mean,
at
I'm
you.
not always. I can't always just give everybody their flowers all the time.
It's okay.
I mean, Christina Freeland. I wish she had
Christia, yeah.
Christia, sorry.
No,
I wish
it's
she had
okay.
this opportunity 4 years ago. Big time. And I mean, the thing was, is I felt like she was appearing in the right places at the right time. She had the right voice. I think it's going to be a harder battle for her now than it was then. I really feel like Trudeau, God bless him, yeah, great speech Saturday, thumbs up. Should have been gone a year ago or more. And we the Liberal Party dragged their butts and didn't move that fast enough, and they totally should have if they really. I don't know. This is how I feel.
Listen, I appreciate
from
your
the
view
outside.
because I've heard that before as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Christia is an experienced politician. She's won 4 elections. She's also won a nomination battle. And for those listening that have no idea what it is, talk to me. I've won one in 2013 and one in 2021.
All right, give us a quick. What's the
They are
nomination
tough.
battle?
So in this country, we have partisan politics,
Yep.
provincially and federally. We don't municipally.
Right.
So in order to run, you have to belong to a political party. That's just the way it works. I can't speak for the other parties, but for the Liberal Party, because I don't know about the other ones 100%. I think they may select, I don't know. But for the Liberal Party, for the most part, what they do is they send out packages. You have to apply, basically. You have to go apply. It's like applying for a job, but it's hell of a lot more. It's hell of a lot more. I had no idea how much it took to apply to be to apply as a federal candidate. You have to go through so much information, questions, interviews, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then, you run against whoever else also got approved.
Right.
That is the hardest. That is harder to get that nod to run for the party than to run in a general election.
Really?
Yeah, because when you think about it, you have people who are all in the same
Yeah.
view. It's like we're all liberals.
Right.
And so it's
Yeah.
really, this is a big part of like when I
that's
was
what's
asked.
happening with the leadership
That's
now,
what's happening
of
with the
course.
leadership
Right,
now.
right.
So to get back to Christia, she won a nomination when she first started. She was part of opposition because when she won in 2013, it was a by-election. And that was not held by Liberals at the time. So she won the nomination. She won the by-election. She was sitting apparently beside May of the Green Party. That's how there was so very few Liberals at the time. And I think Trudeau was on the other side because they were just so very few back in 2013. So she's experienced and she's held many, many important portfolios. The most important that I would say to you, and you just spoke about Trump, is she knows how to negotiate. She knows trade.
She's been on
She
the
knows
American stage, and she's respected
been
in
on
the
the
US.
American stage. I was looking
yeah.
yesterday. She
Yeah.
did an interview with all of the American journalists.
Yeah, she did, but like not just recently, because Carney recently popped up too. But I mean, Freeland. I remember when she showed up on Bill Maher, one of my favorite American politics shows.
No more than me on that.
And this is years ago, and she was awesome, right? She was a real rock star on that.
Okay, fabulous. Good.
Yeah, sad thing about Freeland is the fact that I feel like where she was so close to Trudeau for so long, and that was so recent, that separation. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be tougher for her.
You know what?
or
It's
not,
March
but-
9. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
What I will say to you is she's committed to stay no matter what
Yeah.
happens.
Yes,
I like that.
Well, that
She's
is
committed to stay no matter what happens, and for me, that's golden.
That's respect
She's
right there,
also
yeah.
bilingual. I
Yeah.
mean, she also speaks,
Yeah.
other languages.
Sure.
Actually,
Yeah.
she speaks
She speaks
a number
5
of languages.
Yeah. She
speaks
Don't
5
don't
languages, I
ask
think.
me what they are, but she speaks quite a few. No,
Okay,
it's
cool.
true.
I think her
Russian,
home
Ukrainian.
language is Ukrainian.
Yes,
Oh, really?
That's
she
her
is
home language.
Ukrainian. Yeah.
So that's what she speaks in her home.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Russian.
I think
Anyway,
it's-
she
yeah,
speaks,
either way, yeah.
but she's bilingual, and to be a prime minister in Canada, in my opinion, you need to have both languages, which brings you back to why I was
Yes.
trying to enrich. Not that I wanted to be prime minister, but for me, it was always important to be able to speak both languages. And I'll go back to when I first came. Not first, I was born here, but I didn't even speak English anyway when I was born. As you know, we don't speak. We speak baby language. But when I came into grade 6, I didn't speak English. I did speak French. And so for me, it's important to have both English and French, and of course, your native tongue. If you have another one.
What's your? I got to ask you this. What's your fears? You think if Poilievre takes over leadership? What's your biggest concerns? I don't say fears. That's not a right word.
There is fear.
Yeah.
There is fear. I believe this particular Liberal government has brought in a lot of good things. Dental care.
Yep.
Child care. I'm telling you, the people
No,
that
that
have
$10 a
benefited
day.
from the channel, it's unbelievable. We're
And
we're bringing-
Poilievre has expressed explicitly he's going to cut that.
he's said that every single time. So,
Yeah.
pharmacare that we're trying to now bring in.
Yep.
We're starting with there's many things on the. We've indexed the old age pension,
Yep.
the Canada Pension Plan, the GIS, Guaranteed Income Supplement.
Yep.
And it so that it actually goes up every year now for seniors. Some of them don't even know that,
Right.
But they did that.
Right.
Where they rolled back from 67 to 65. Like a lot of these things are definitely on the chopping block. There's no doubt about it. And I could go on, but I mean, those are the things that I think a lot of people rely on in this country.
Do you know what, though? This is going to be a unpopular opinion,
Sure.
but I actually think that the old age pension should have remained higher because we're living longer. And I think that people are retiring later. So as people live longer and retire later, it makes sense to have that older. Like,
You know what?
Yeah, no,
People who contact
It's not sustainable, though,
People
right?
who contact our constituency offices don't feel the same way, but
I know they
I
don't.
understand what
don't
you're
share
saying.
that opinion in Paris.
No, right.
Yeah,
I
you messed
understand what you're saying, and I heard it before a couple of years ago from somebody who is much older,
Yeah.
and who said the same thing. So I understand what
I have
you're
a
saying.
partial philosophy. I'm partially with you. I understand that you have to keep going.
Yes.
But the thing is, I think there should be a part in your life too. You're 65 years old. You've worked hard and long. You should now have choice.
I agree with
my,
you.
My dad or whoever
Yep.
now can choose how he wants to work and how he wants to spend his day.
No, I agree with you,
And
but there's a
have
different
something if he wants to take like time off and go away and all that stuff, right?
But there's a financial thing to it. Like, we have to obviously balance budgets and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And if people, as medical advancements happen and we're living longer than we ever have, if all of a sudden our average age at some point reaches, like, say, 100,
Yeah.
you're going to tell me that you're gonna be able to support people from the age 65 to 100?
Well, I'd love it to reach 100. I don't see that happening, Matt.
I do.
That's a wishful
I do.
thinking.
I don't think it
I would
is.
love that. I love it.
You know what? Medical advancements are going super fast, and they're
Canada went
yeah.
down the last couple of years, well, maybe it was probably
It's because of COVID.
maybe COVID.
No, we did well in COVID.
We did, but
We did
then
well.
We did well in COVID, but the average life expectancy
Expectancy did drop during COVID
did
periods.
Drop over the last few
Not-
years for like the first time in history.
It was like point something.
We're still doing better than the U.S.
We are.
Yeah, which
Old Donald's right at the end of that range.
Donnie's in 49th place from the statistics I looked at the other week.
Yeah, exactly,
I love
yeah.
statistics. And so we're 20th.
Wow.
Yeah.
But speaking of international
Japan
stuff,
is kicking our ass.
Japan's the longest outside of Sardinia.
Yeah.
Sardinia in Italy,
Yeah.
longest,
Sardinia, okay.
most concentrated blue zone in all the world.
Oh,
They
wow.
live. People will live well
Yeah.
into their hundreds, 110, 115. Yeah, couples. Seriously.
You want to
couples.
retire there?
I would. Holy.
Food might be good.
Get food, wine,
the food?
wine,
Food,
fish,
wine,
pasta.
yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
But moving on to I
Yes.
guess a little bit more of the international stuff. I mean, like, we did had some like tariff scare, which is was interesting. I think it's kind of funny. I feel Trudeau basically like said to Trump that the exact same thing that we're already doing, and he was just kind of like, okay, I won, and it was like. Yeah, I think they're all like, he and Mexico are just kind of laughing, going, I just told them exactly what we're doing already.
Well, listen, Trudeau and the team, they've been working on this they've been working
Since
on this
Biden,
for,
though. They've been
for-
working with
for
it with
a
Biden.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it was in the news last
This
November.
is not, exactly.
that
And
their
so
plan.
he's got
Yeah.
a fabulous team of ministers that represent different portfolios that have been working on this steadily. Chrystia Freeland was definitely one of them when she was the finance minister. But he also is working with all the premiers and the of the provinces and the territories.
great.
They're all talking in the same language for a
Yep.
change. which is fabulous.
But he was
that's what you need.
Trudeau was very he was wrong with the fentanyl accusations coming from Canada.
Yes.
Like he was.
Yeah,
dead
Trump
wrong.
was. Yes, yeah.
And he
Even
was
the
corrected.
Americans
And he
are
has-
saying that.
He has
Yes.
zero proof. Like he has
Yeah.
nothing to back it up. Right?
Exactly.
He's kind of throwing his muscle around and he's trying to intimidate.
I want one of Ford's hats that says Canada's not for sale.
Yeah.
I want one of those.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah,
We are a proud nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our sovereignty, and
We
we are proud.
are not
Yeah.
for sale.
Yeah.
But it's our sovereignty economically and
Yes.
politically.
Yes.
And I tell you, I kid you not, he even repeated it. 51st state. Give
Yeah.
me a break.
Yeah.
What planet is,
He wants Canada. He wants Greenland. He wants Panama. Like, yeah.
You go home now, see how many things, your little boy wants for,
Exactly. No,
But
I think he's a
actually, your
toddler.
boy's probably a lot more saner.
Yeah, that's probably true. Shares more, that's for sure. But so the tariffs, obviously, like that's never going to be a good thing. Like tariffs are obviously bad for both countries. But one thing I do love that this has brought out is this kind of not newfound, but like rebirth of like this pride in Canada. And like you said,
absolutely.
premiers.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting
Business
together.
leaders,
they're on the same-
unions.
Yeah.
So can we get
Everybody.
these
We talk about this new problem. We need to fan that flame though, because
do.
So here, we're doing this interview. I don't know when it will go on air, but February 15 is our National Flag Day.
Is it?
I don't know
Oh,
if you know
okay.
that.
right after Valentine's Day, huh?
National Flag Day is February
That's
15.
the birthday
Cool.
of the Canadian flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, as an immigration minister, for me,
Mm-hmm.
I would go to so many citizenship ceremonies, and when
Mm.
people were getting your wife got her citizenship. You probably remember at one point.
Not citizenship.
Quebec.
Oh, she came from. That's right.
That's a whole nother conversation.
No.
They were
Anyway,
gonna leave.
No. They carry the flags with them, and
Yeah.
they are so proud at these ceremonies. It's funny. We need to do that all the time. And as an MP, we do get people emailing and calling saying, "Do you have any Canada pins?" July 1st, around that July. But we need to do that all year round. And you're right. That has given, I think, a renewed sense
Yeah,
of that.
So I have a
gotta
funny little joke
push it,
for you.
yeah.
I got a funny little
Okay,
joke for you. I saw
all
this
right.
meme and it's relevant.
So
to what
it's
we talked.
Quebec, eh?
So yeah,
They're very proud too.
yes. So it says here. This was something that I saw on Threads today. It said, "Dear America, you've pissed off the Quebecois. Do you know how badly you had to f up to get Quebec to be proudly Canadian?"
Well, the premier of Quebec is on this.
Lego. He's like, yeah, let's go, Lego.
I mean, if it's a trade-off between Canada and United States, come on now. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's important.
Yeah,
So
no, it is.
That's important.
You've touched on a lot of the things that the Liberal Party, is really valuable here today. We just kind of go back a step. We talk about seniors, the senior age of retirement. We talk about the free dental care, the child care. These are all very positive Liberal things.
Yes.
One thing I did hear Polyev say that I like listening to the good ideas on both sides, not the bad.
Yeah.
Good interprovincial
Yes.
trading is
That's important.
So
Now that
the
everyone's on the same
trade
page.
minister is in Halifax tonight.
Oh, is
Yes.
he?
It's
She?
a woman.
I don't know.
Anita Anand. Anyway,
Is-
I'm
it's
meeting
Anita-
her tomorrow.
Oh, is she the
we are doing
trade-
an
I didn't know that she's
announcement
her.
tomorrow,
Did you
and
tell
we're
her that
doing
the
a
afternoon
round.
pint really wants this?
Oh my
You know?
God! Are you
Tell her to
serious?
come on the
We need
show.
to
We're
have
doing a round
interprovincial
table
trading.
on international trade. Do you know how hard they've been working? You don't, but I'm
No, I
going to
don't
tell
know.
you.
No.
So she's meeting with all the ministers of and I know as a provincial
Mm-hmm.
person at the time, we also were working on that as Nova Scotia.
Right.
To
And I-
try with others, but
If anybody's listening to Alberta, I really want your beef in Nova Scotia. I'm a big steak
So,
guy,
yeah.
and we need the best beef, and you guys got it.
We'll
I
trade you
want it.
lobster
So
for
at the
steak.
time,
We got some surf and
actually-
turf.
Let's work something out. Get these provinces kind of doing
with
some business.
Stephen McNeil when he was
Yeah.
premier, and we signed a deal with Alberta on something on international trade. So they're not all bad, but they do want to protect their own. That's
Yeah.
the problem, though. A lot of provinces, depending on what issue you're talking about,
Yeah.
they all have this protection. But now the good thing is, it's better to talk Canada than to talk us separately, because that's how we're all going to win together.
And we have all the resources we need.
We do.
Like we
do.
have all of the fresh water, the lumber, the oil, the diamonds, the gold,
all the natural
uranium,
resources. If you
everything.
speak to Jonathan Wilkinson, who's the current Minister of Natural Resources, he could go on with. It just amazes me how much Canada has.
Yeah.
We could
Untapped
be
potential.
self-sufficient.
We need
could be
to up that
self-sufficient.
defense.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to be self-sufficient.
That's the other
Yes,
thing.
yes.
But we need to be able to
up
protect it.
defense. I
Yes.
mean, that's a big.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. Yes.
So yeah, if Anita wants to come on the show, I would do a little special episode with her. That'd be great.
There we go,
we wanted to
anytime.
talk about trade
I'm obsessed with understanding trade better because
ever since we talked to Houston.
because of trade laws and trying to figure out and navigate how we can get better deals for local product.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
again, liberals,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
carbon,
Yeah.
saving carbon.
But
I
there's
mean,
no.
doesn't it
But
make
the
sense?
leadership have all said this. The consumer
It's going,
price
yeah.
is going anyway.
Sure.
We're concentrate on the industries.
Right.
And you know
It's
what?
been there for
But
a
it
couple of
makes
years, and
sense.
it has done its job. If it's going to shift people's attitudes, it has shifted some.
Well, and you know
so
what?
now you concentrate on the heavy polluters.
Yeah.
Okay, but like
You
honest
have
to
a part
God,
of that.
like, hold up, like
Yeah.
honest to God, like we got cows right now coming from New Zealand that are in our grocery stores in Nova Scotia.
Cows?
Cows, beef.
Oh.
New Zealand
Grass-fed
beef.
I thought you
beef
meant
is
cows
in Nova
PEI
Scotia
ice cream.
No.
from New Zealand, and I'm like, I mean, carbon tax, flying cows going across the ocean, halfway across the world, hell of a lot closer than Alberta, right? So we got to figure out deals that make
Yeah.
sense. This could get rid of carbon tax, right? You know,
Absolutely.
But
there we
this is
go.
what I was going to say
These
about
type
carbon
of
tax,
these
because
things in place.
Lena's been a part of two different governments that operated two very different ways. You
Well,
guys,
that's the other thing. We didn't have a carbon tax
That's
when
right.
the provincial Liberals were
That's
in,
right.
Right.
because they negotiated, and
Cap and
Trudeau's
trade.
government. Again, we'll talk people's names.
Yeah.
They and they accepted it.
yeah.
You know, not to. Well, I guess I am political, but I'm not that partisan. But my point being, Premier Houston didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Do you want to do what?
He
Cap
didn't.
and trade.
He didn't want to do
No.
that, and he didn't want to do his own provincial thing. He said to the feds, "Do whatever you want."
Yeah.
Essentially, that
Right.
we're not going to do our own. And so the feds were left with. I say the feds,
Yeah.
we're left with. This is how it's going across Canada, unless you have your own program.
I liked our cap and trade
Nova
system.
Scotia didn't have
Cap and
the-
trade is not
you know.
bad. I'm with you on that
So-
because I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Ian,
sound super attractive, but it works.
Ian Rankin, who is actually the MLA for where we're
Right
sitting
here,
right
yeah.
now,
Yeah.
he was a vocal advocate of that.
Yeah.
And if you
Interesting.
ever talk to him, he knows a lot about it. A lot.
I've had a couple beers with Ian.
I believe you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to be going to leadership. Then we're going to be going back. I mean, what do you really think? Like, obviously, there's some other big issues that are going to be coming up, but we could be in for some really busy couple months for voting and all that other stuff. But I don't know. Where do you think things will land? Like, do you put the liberal blinders on and think like, no, we're gonna win again, or like, do you think?
Well, listen,
Yeah.
for me as a member of parliament, I represent an area,
Yeah.
and it's Halifax West. Again, it'll start at the Armdale Rotary and work its way up St. Margaret's Bay Road and Joe Howe, and all the way through to where we are here, the BLT area, the
Yep.
Prospect Loop, the West Bedford, Clayton Park, Fairview, etc., etc. I am. What I can do is control, sort of work for me to win my seat.
Yep.
Why? Because I believe I can better represent the people that live in this community. Because it's a learning curve being a federal representative.
I
It has
bet.
taken me couple of years. Well, it took me a first couple of years. When we first got elected, we still had COVID. And then we had the convoy situation
Yeah.
where we were not allowed to go to certain places. I was staying in a hotel. The hotel at the time, I called them before I left Halifax Airport, and they said to me, "We can't guarantee we can let you in."
Oh,
Why?
wow.
Because they were all there. So I didn't go. I canceled the flight that week.
Yeah.
So my point being is, it was a learning curve for me, and it's taken me that long to figure things out in Ottawa a little bit, all together with doing everything I can for the people in this community, whether it's one-on-one support with Service Canada, with immigration, with the old age, with hundreds of, or community community groups organization, helping them fund infrastructure, housing stuff. Like, there's so much I've been able to deliver for the seniors Horizons programs, for the child care spaces that we've created with the funds available, Fairview Resource Center. I mean, I could go on and on and on. That I feel as a member of Parliament, I can now take that Canada Summer Jobs. I can go on and on. Take that and do that much more for the people I represent. And as I said, with my legal background and the fact I've also served provincially on a number of issues, I know very well the local issues, provincial, federal, and I'm pretty good at international. I sit on a lot lot of
I think you should run
committees.
for Prime Minister.
Thank you so much.
I'll tell
Thank
you.
you so much.
First step first.
Not
just
this time. Not this time.
yeah, exactly. First things first, though, is get the interprovincial archaic laws about alcohol.
Absolutely. Oh, yes,
especially
alcohol is, I'll tell you, they used to fight a lot
ridiculous.
about alcohol.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's do you know it's more legal for me to bring booze into the United States than it is to New Brunswick?
Really?
Yes. I'm not supposed to actually bring vodka
They just
to New
don't
Brunswick.
want. They just don't want Bud Light getting.
Yeah.
We do
Bud
well in
Light.
Nova Scotia,
Yeah.
so let's get those international, provincial trades down.
yeah.
I agree with
Let's
you.
get
On
Nova Scotia beer
and it's not
out
just
to the
it's
world.
on everything, even workers, right? The regulations around people who work in different industries.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we can do and should do, and they had been trying to do it, but I believe they now have the incentive
Right.
to work that much harder together, and I think that's a positive.
That's cool, Matt. I think we should get to our questions, my friend.
Let's do it. Let's do 10
Awesome.
questions.
So
She was scared about this.
Don't. Oh gosh, don't be scared.
She was
These
like, what-
questions are stupid by design.
Yes.
Some fun, a couple serious.
Yeah.
Little mix. Do you want to do the camera thing, or you want to just kind of keep going? It's really busy here. Right?
Yeah, you know what?
We might just skip the cameras today.
Yeah, let's
I
just
think.
do it.
Yeah, we'll just kind of rock and roll.
Let's just go. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with question 1, Matt.
Let's see here.
It's the ones I sent you, so I
got 'em here.
I remixed them a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. If your life was a movie, what would you call it?
If my life was a movie, what would I call it?
That's your first question.
Oh my goodness. Bulldozer.
Bulldozer. I love that. Great answer.
That's a great answer. All right, question number 2. What is one of your favorite Lebanese dishes?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know who I am, right?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
who you're talking to here,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah.
Listen, my mother makes everything delicious. Go to her home on Sunday and she will feed you anything. So the
What's that address?
Kibbe, so kibbe, it's Lebanese ground meat.
Oh, I know that. It is really good.
Okay, of
Yes.
course you've got the taboul. Like I could go on and on, but by the way, I don't eat that anywhere but with her because it's fresh ground
Yeah.
meat that she that would be
Amazing.
it. That's
Good answer.
Yeah.
All right, question number 3.
Okay. If Freeland wins and becomes prime minister, can you make Matt Conrad a senator?
No promises, Matt.
No.
You'd have to.
Okay. He wanted to take a shot.
I shoot my shot.
Oh my goodness! You know what though? You're young. You have many years to go. You never know.
I think the Senate needs some young blood.
They do. That's what I mean. You've got.
Yeah,
you've
exactly.
Got you've got a shot just like anyone else.
And we're all, and you know what? The senators are all independent now. So I'm a free thinker, open to new ideas.
you have a shot just like anyone else, but I will not make any promises to you.
All right, I'll have to accept
All
for
right.
that.
Your turn, bud.
Okay. If you had to name your dog after one person in Parliament, who would it be?
And why?
Dear
and why?
Lord, I have no dogs.
Yeah, but if you had one.
If you got a dog,
I'm giving you a new
and
puppy.
you had to name anybody in Parliament, who would you name the dog?
It depends. Do I like my dog?
This is all
This
on
is
you.
up for your
Name
interpretation.
it and why you name it.
Oh,
Maybe.
do you know how many young ladies I see carrying around those little poodles that they love them more than their souls?
Yes.
Because they can't afford to have kids anymore, right?
Well, I
Yeah.
no, some of them have kids too,
No,
but
just teasing it.
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Do I need to do that?
You can drink it. You can just take a drink.
Yeah.
You can have a sip if you don't want
Yeah,
to.
you got to take a drink if you don't want to
my
answer.
Goodness. Okay, I will. Here.
There you go.
Cheers.
There you go.
That's
Cheers.
pleading the fifth on this show.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. There's going to be a few more hard ones here.
All right.
Okay.
Number 5 or 6.
Okay.
or
Honest
something?
answers
5.
only. Who lies more, politicians or lawyers? Who lies more?
Lies. Oh my goodness! Can you give me the definition of a lie? It depends, right? Who lies more? Who lies more? I guess it depends on the individuals. I don't believe it's a profession. I don't buy
believe
that.
It's on the individual.
I don't believe that because
Fair
you're
and honest
speaking
answer.
to a lawyer and a politician.
We
That's
know.
where. And I know you know, but no, it's no.
You
I
want
don't.
to pit yourself against yourself.
I think it depends on the individual, not on the profession.
Great answer.
That's good.
These are professions that are very professional.
That's right. So who do you see as a natural trading partner with Canada that we underutilize?
Ooh. We underutilize that.
Yeah.
You need Anita Anon here, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God!
You want to call a friend?
Would you mind?
I'm a little.
I could text her
we're a
now.
little
To be
obsessed with
honest,
trade, yeah.
you know what? I'll tell you what she says. I'll ask her that question. Write that down for me. I'll ask her that question tomorrow.
Awesome.
But I don't know. It depends. I personally would love to do more trade with the Francophone nations, and
okay.
To be quite frank, there's a lot of African countries that we could do a lot of trade with.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a bit of a pivot. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so listen carefully. Who famously sang these song lyrics?
Oh boy.
Get into the groove, boy. You've got to prove, boy, your love to me.
Oh my God, I know the song, but
80s.
Yeah, that's my generation.
I got this for you. I figured.
Oh my God.
When would have you been in the club? You know, having a good time, right? This
Can we
this would have
Google
been
that
a jam
one?
for you.
I didn't have Google back
Get
then.
into the groove.
I know
boy,
the
you
song.
gotta
I know. I
boy.
used to dance to that when I was young.
Okay.
Help me out. I don't know.
M.
What?
M. She
M?
was iconic. M.
Ah.
Yeah. Blonde hair.
Ah.
M. Rhymes with Alonda.
Oh.
Madonna.
Is it Madonna?
It's Madonna, yeah.
I told you I know the song and I danced to it, but Malona, oh my.
I just couldn't rhyme
Malana's
Madonna.
not gonna be
I just
happy.
found that out.
Oh,
Yeah.
not Melania, no.
Melania. Oh, there we go.
Okay, that's a good segue because the next question is President Trump and his administration have recently moved away from the DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion in government. Some major companies, such as Facebook and Tesla, have also done the same. Do you think that the Liberal or Conservative Party would do anything similar to that with Canada?
I think the Conservatives would, and because I sit on the Science and Research Committee in Parliament, and the Conservatives have criticized it every single meeting that the scientists, the researchers, the NSERC, the health professionals, everybody's come and they have criticized it, and it's all public. I'm not giving you any stories. And so, yes, they certainly would. I would not, definitely. And I'll tell you, I saw headlines. I didn't watch them. There was the Grammys or something this week.
Yeah.
And one of the women that won said, the headline that I saw was, DEI, that's why we're all here, or something. Look,
there's a lot of great
DEI. These are competent people, folks. These are competent people, and if that program helps a few people along, that's what we need. That's what this country needs. That's what the world needs. We don't want to leave people behind, because sometimes people are left behind because of who they are, what they look like, or whatever. We don't want that. So the perception out there, if there's any from people listening, that these are not competent, they are definitely, and it's not that we're leaving anyone else behind.
And I mean, and any of you don't want to believe that narrative, you could also just say, like, doesn't inclusivity create a more peaceful and harmonious world? There's never been an alternative where it's like, oh, we're going to let more people in our circle and kind of give
and I'll go a bit further. That different points of view, whether it be from different backgrounds or how you were raised or what gender you are or anything like that, we all have a bias because of that, internally or externally.
Absolutely.
But
that's humanity.
It is, but here's the good thing about it is that we all can bring different point of views together.
And that's better for business.
It's better for
better
business.
for anything you do.
You get different perspectives, right? You learn how. If I'm just going to be a white straight male all the time, and we want to sell this podcast to people, we need to talk to more than just white straight males. kind of thing, because we need to.
And I
kinda
love
get
white
that.
straight males. Don't get
There's nothing wrong with us.
It's no, not that there's nothing wrong with
I mean,
them.
something wrong with him.
No,
but-
they're fabulous. Don't you know? But we also want everyone else.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
what it's all about,
No, I
right?
agree.
It's to include. That's it.
Absolutely. All right. Good answer. Next question.
You like it, do
Yep.
you?
Okay, a question from our younger listeners, okay? Which Canadian premier, I've changed that. Which Canadian prime minister, past or present, do you think has the most riz?
Riz.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll pick one from my lifetime because it's pretty hard for me
You know what
to...
riz means?
Well, I think I do. You want to define it?
No, you define it. What do you think it means?
Riz, like pizzazz, like...
Charisma. Yeah,
Charisma,
you got it.
yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, okay.
For me, I'll pick
Nailed
from my...
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick from my lifetime, right?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
He was a superstar, though. Like, really. Yeah.
So
It's true.
I remember him when I was in junior high, and then later in 1982 when the Constitution came
Yep.
in with the equality rights in '82. But I also remember him in junior high when Quebec was about to separate, or we're
Yeah.
talking about separation.
There you go.
That's when I got interested in, and I said to you, I hardly knew English.
My grandmother had a big
yeah.
crush on him.
Yeah?
Yeah, my grandmother had a big crush on him back in the day.
I was in school, like, Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Last question. This is a question that This is the one question that we've asked every single person so far on this year as a guest. So, what is one piece of advice that you were given in your life that you can pass on to us and our listeners?
If you have children, educate them, send them to schools. That was the one thing my parents wanted to do with their children. Because with education, anything's possible.
All right.
Everything
answer.
else comes and goes, but with your education, that's what they passed on to us.
Beautiful.
All right.
That's a great answer. Completely unique and original. We love that. So thank
Yeah,
you so
exactly.
much. Yeah. So that concludes our 10 questions.
And
Wasn't
that's
so
what, if you
bad.
don't have kids, though, I would say, and if you're whatever, I
Send
would
that
say...
dog, the little chihuahua you got in the
No,
purse.
forget about dogs.
No?
Believe in yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
Believe
Okay.
in yourself.
Right. Awesome.
I like that too.
Well,
you know what, Lena? Thank you very much.
Cheers.
For coming on the show. We appreciate the chat. It's been a pleasure, and good luck in the upcoming election that we know will be
Thank
coming
you very
soon.
much.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, too.
Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.